más que a través del vino. Seguimos recorriendo Sudáfrica, esta vez nos vinimos a la región de Stellenbosch para recorrer la bellísima bodega de Waterford State. Así que quédense conmigo que esto recién empieza, que se viene muy interesante.
Welcome to Waterford State in Stellenbosch, South Africa. I'm the winemaker, Mark Leroux. And I think our philosophy at Waterford is really to create wines that resemble a very special place in Stellenbosch, in South Africa. So what makes us quite unique is we have the Cape Fold Mountains that surround our vineyards. The mountains are very influential in a sense of the weather. So they bring cooling wind from the nearby ocean. The wind keeps our vineyards nice and cool, and our mountain being high up on the vineyards also gives us very north facing, so we see a lot of sunlight, so we get lovely ripeness in our grapes, but then the cool sea breeze also keeps the temperatures nice and cool. So where Waterford is, we're situated on the Helderberg mountain, so it's the mountain range in Stellenbosch closest to the ocean, and this allows us to make really great red wines, in particular Cabernet Sauvignon, and we make wines that are destined for aging. So we get a lot of good freshness, good acidities in our wines, but we also get a very fine tannin structure, which is great for aging. So we focus 90% or 95% of our winemaking is on red wine, Cabernet Sauvignon being the most important. But because of the different mountains, the different slopes, the different soils that we actually have 11 different red grapes planted. A lot of diversity, a lot of plant diversity that we have at Waterford. And this is why we have different grapes. We only master one white grape varietal, which is Chardonnay, planted sort of in the far corner of the property on very sort of well-watered red clay soil. So this is very good for Chardonnay, being cooler in that as well. So the winemaking, relatively simple. Don't like to overcomplicate things, really trying to gain a lot of what we do in the vineyards and get that character in the wine. So in the cellar, once we hand pick, we work a lot, very much with hands. In the vineyards, we're shaping our grapes, and we bring it to the cellar, and we want to convert those grapes into the wine as quickly as possible. So we don't use overly extracting techniques, so very gentle. We just mix the juice over the skins, because that's how we get all our color and our tannin extraction. And then a very important part is also using the oak barrels, which I'll show you just now. So our philosophy at Waterford is to make wines really of a sense of place, and we focus a lot on red wine making. So we have 11 different grape varietals to express our sense of place at Waterford. A large part of red wine making is aging wine after fermentation. We look a lot at the different vessels, but oaking and use of oak barrels is very important. For us in South Africa, we have a very strong sunshine, so we get a lot of sweetness and a lot of fruit from the growing season because of the heat and the sun. So when we're looking at our oak barrels, we actually need our oak barrels to bring freshness and some tannins into the wine. So we're looking for barrels that are very different to what you would find in France. In France, they have very cool growing conditions. They don't have a lot of sun. So they use barrels to bring sweetness into their wines. So when they make the barrels, they put them over a very hot fire, and this caramelizes or sweetens your oak. So when you put your wine inside, it brings a little more sweetness into your barrel and into your wine. So for us in South Africa, we've got sweetness from the sunshine, so we don't need that in barrel. So we're looking for a barrel that's less heat on the fire, and also we're only using about 30% new wood, because the oak that we need is a lot less because we're not using so much fire on top of our barrels.
It's about to start the wine tasting. Guyana.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so the wines you're going to be tasting today, we're going to do a rosé, 2 whites, and then 4 reds.
That's lovely. Thank you.
No problem. A rosé, and this is named after our owner's late mother, Rosemary. So she really liked the color pink, and that's of course why they named this one after her. So it is a Blanc de Noir style wine, meaning we use red grapes to create a white style of wine. And this is actually a blend of 9 different varietals. It is mainly Tempranillo driven though. So what we do is we harvest our grapes a little bit earlier on in the season so that there's less sugar inside of them. So less sugar does leave you with a drier style of wine. It also means less alcohol. So this is only 12.5% alcohol. So we actually joke and say it's our breakfast wine. So we only leave this in skin contact for about 2 to 3 hours, and that's why it's that lovely light red color. But it is very much your summer day by the pool type of wine. It's very easy drinking, very much so.
Yeah, it seems so.
Yes.
Wow.
Now the second one I'm going to be serving for you is our Chenin Blanc. So South Africa actually grows about 50% of the world's Chenin Blanc because we use it in the production of brandy. But this Chenin is quite special because of the sticker that's on the bottle. It says Certified Heritage Vineyards 1966. So what that sticker represents is that this vine is part of something called the Old Vine Project, which was started in Stellenbosch to encourage letting your vine grow older, because the older your vine gets, the better quality wine you get from it. So your vine has to be about 35 years or older to qualify, and this one is about 57 years old. So with the Chenin, we actually age it in concrete eggs. And concrete is a neutral vessel, meaning it doesn't add any flavor to the wine. It does add a bit of a minerality characteristic to the wine. And we also leave it in contact with lees, which is spent yeast cells, for about 9 months. So the lees just add the texture and the tarty flavors that you find on there. And we also don't cure the concrete. So it's your tartaric acid in the wine that formulates the crystals on the inside. And that's what formulates the barrier from stopping it being absorbed into the concrete fully. And also because concrete is quite porous, it allows the Chenin Blanc to breathe during fermentation. And Chenin is a varietal that enjoys that air while fermenting. So it adds a lovely plush mouthfeel that you find there. And there's also a lot of your white fruit characteristics on the Chenin.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, that's my pleasure.
Okay.
So the white that we have now is our estate Chardonnay, and this is actually the only white varietal we grow on our estate itself. So this was planted in 1988, so it is part of the Old Vine Project this year, and it is actually one of the oldest Chardonnay vines in South Africa. So traditionally Chardonnays are made in more of a buttery and oaky style, which people either really love or not so much, because there was a period in time where people were like over oaking their Chardonnays. Personally, I love an oaky Chardonnay, but our winemaker did something to do something a little bit different. This is more of your fresh, crispy and creamy style of Chardonnay. So we only put 15% of the wine into your new French oak barrels, where it will go through malolactic fermentation, which is where those citrus characteristics turn into the buttery oaky characteristic. But they do stop at halfway, so you're not getting that overwhelming butteriness, whereas the rest will put into older barrels for about 11 months. So you'll see here there is more of your citrus characteristics that are coming through, like your lemon zest and lime, and there is that slight stone fruit like your apricot found it as well. So you might also find a little bit of minerality on the Chardonnay. It's also because it is planted in clay swell and granite deposits, so the granite does add that minerality, whereas the clay also adds a little bit of structure to them. Right, then we have Grenache or Garnacha, which is a Spanish varietal. So we kind of try to replicate the heat of Spain, and we've planted this on our rockier sandstone slopes. So that building over there, that is Cape Sandstone, and what it does is it absorbs the heat of the sun during the day, so it keeps the vines warmer throughout the night like it would be in Spain. So with the Grenache, it is quite a big berry with a thinner skin. So wine does get its color and tannins from the skin of the grape. So it is quite a lot of juice compared to a smaller amount of skin, which then leaves with a lovely light red color, but also softer tannins. So how we age this or mature it is we put 30% into porcelain, which is also a neutral vessel, so it preserves the fruity characteristic. Whereas the other 70% we put into old 500-litre French oak barrels, which is lightly witted and also keeps it quite fresh. So what you have here is more of your fresh, medium-bodied, easy drinking red, which does make it a little bit dangerous. Red wine shouldn't be too easy drinking. But it is also versatile. You can serve it at your normal red wine temperature, but you can also serve it slightly chilled like we've done it today, like you would have. Now is our Kevin Arnold Shiraz. He is our original cellar master and winemaker here. So it is a blend of 94% Shiraz and 6% Mourvedre, which is also known as Monasteral. So your typical style of Shiraz is usually quite bold, spicy and jammy, but we lean more toward a Syrah style, which is just soft and more elegant. So the Mourvedre serves to kind of soften out that spiciness of the Shiraz and help round the wine out. So we age this for about 22 months in your older, different size French oak barrels, so from 225 litre up into 500 litre. So we'll see it is quite soft. A lot of your dark fruit components that are coming through, like your plums and your dark berries, and then those spices are all cinnamon and cumin. Then our Cabernet Sauvignon, which is our most grown varietal on the farm. This actually makes up 50% of our vines. So the reason we grow so much of it is because Stellenbosch has the same latitude as Bordeaux in France, so we are quite hot here, and red grapes thrive in the heat, and that is why Stellenbosch is mainly a red wine region, but it's also why we're able to grow so much of it and grow it quite well. So with this vintage, it is 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. We age this for about 19 months in 36% new French oak barrels, whereas the rest are in older barrels. 2018 also a very good year for winemaking in the Western Province, but because we had a drought, and in a drought your vine stresses because it thinks it's dying, so it sends all of its nutrients up into the grapes, which then leaves you with very nutritious grapes, and that leaves you with good quality material. So we'll see if there is quite a high tannin structure to the wine. Also your fruity characteristics, you might find something like black currants and your cherries, and then those earthy herbaceous notes. There is also quite a fresh acidity to the Cabernet Sauvignon. And personally, this is my favorite breed that we have here at Waterford. So the gem is named after our owner, Jeremy Ord. His nickname to his friends and family is Gem. So how this came about is when Kevin Arnold went into partnership with Jeremy Ord and they bought this land, Kevin saw how diverse our terroir is. So just to tell you a little bit more about it, we've got the Helderberg Mountains on that side. You'll see breezes that blow over from Strand and cool this part of the valley. Then you've got your Stellenbosch Mountain on that side. Then we have Bordeaux climate, and we're also able to grow Mediterranean varietals. And we have 6 different soil types here on the farm. So they knew we're able to grow a lot of varietals. So currently we have 11 red varietals and 1 white, which is the Chardonnay. So the original idea for the gem is they wanted to make a wine that was completely different to anything that you've ever seen or made before. And obviously if you're a winemaker with over 30 years of experience in winemaking, it's quite a task. So what we did is they started with a Bordeaux blend and a Mediterranean blend, but you can't just mix 2 blends together and expect it to work out. So that actually became our library collection, which was called that because you go to the library to study and learn. And that was them studying and learning on how to make the gem. So then they started by making a Bordeaux blend and added Mediterranean varietals in, almost like spices when you cook it, kind of like to enhance the flavor of the wine. So the first gem was actually made in 2003, and it was labeled under Cape Winemakers Guild, which is a very prestigious wine society here in South Africa, and with a blend of 6 varietals at that time. And Kevin actually really enjoyed the process of making wine, so in 2004 he made the first Waterford gem, which is also a blend of 6 varietals. And when it was released in 2007, it was the most expensive wine in South Africa at that time, at 625 Rand a bottle. The second most expensive was only 200 Rand. So it was a lot closer to the dollar and euro prices for international wines at that time. So they decided to rate this expensive South African wine, and it rated quite well. So it showed the world that South Africa could make fine wine. So jump forward to today, we have our 2016 vintage, which is a blend of 8 varietals, mainly Cabernet Sauvignon and Shiraz driven. But what you have inside of this bottle is your Cabernet Sauvignon, your Cabernet Franc, which add the body and structure to the wine. Shiraz and Mourvedre add these spicy characteristics and give it a little bit of finesse. Sangiovese and Barbera at those earthy green tones. So why this is so special is because people don't blend French, Italian and Spanish varietals together, which is what we've done here. It might be a little bit blasphemous in the wine world, but that's us as South Africa. We love to blend. That's why we are the Rainbow Nation. But it's not something you'll find anything like anywhere else. It's very much an investment wine. You can age this for up to 22 years. I actually initially didn't believe them when they told me that. I thought it was like a marketing thing. But last year I had the privilege of tasting our 2004 vintage. And that's almost like, that was about 19 years old at that stage. And it was still absolutely phenomenal. It was very bold and fruit forward, which is quite surprising for a wine of that age to be still that like forthcoming. But I've actually invested in it myself. I have like 3 of these, 4 of the 1.5 liters and then a 3 liter up in a cupboard, which is not the best base of the wine, but I'm just a girl. But yeah, so it's very much a special wine. It actually reminds me of being at home. I'm from a province called the Free State, which is more up into South Africa. And in the summer, we get really nice thunderstorms. And I was born during a thunderstorm. So my name is Kiana Rain. And it actually rains every year on my birthday, but it kind of reminds me of that like earthy freshness you get after the rain. That's what I pick up on the gem. So it's a very special wine. It is proudly South African, and I actually feel quite privileged to be able to serve such a different wine to people on a day-to-day. So I hope you enjoy it. If you want to know a little bit more, the specific percentages and everything is inside of the box itself.
Okay, that's wonderful. Buenas a todos. Espero que estén disfrutando de todo nuestro paso por Sudáfrica, por Cape Town. En este caso hicimos Waterford State, así que espero que les guste, que realmente lo disfruten, porque lo hemos hecho con muchísimo amor. Así que les mando un fuerte abrazo y nos vemos en el próximo capítulo.